Every image you have ever seen of ancient Athens is wrong. Not slightly wrong. Not a matter of interpretation. Wrong in the most fundamental way possible, the color. What you are about to watch is a full AI reconstruction of Athens as it stood in 447 BC. Every building, every street, every person, rebuilt from archaeological evidence, historical records, and pigment analysis of surviving marble fragments. What you will see in this video is not what historians imagined. It is what the physical evidence proves was actually there. And it starts with this: the Parthenon, the building that has appeared in more history books, more documentaries, more photographs than almost any structure on Earth, was not white. It was painted. Every column, alternating bands of deep crimson red and cobalt blue. Every carved figure on the frieze above, filled with saffron yellow, forest green, burnt orange, and gold leaf. The pediment sculptures, the gods and heroes that now stand pale and eyeless in museums, were painted in photorealistic human skin tones. Dark eyes, flushed cheeks, colored robes, painted lips. Standing inside the Parthenon in 447 BC was not the experience of standing in a quiet marble temple. It was the experience of being swallowed by the most overwhelming painted room the ancient world had ever constructed. And at the center of it stood a statue of Athena, 40 feet tall. Ivory skin, hammered gold armor, a spear tip that touched the ceiling, worth more than the annual revenue of the entire Athenian state. That is what was lost. That is what this video reconstructs. But here is what nobody tells you about any of it. Behind every beautiful thing Athens built, behind every painted column and marble frieze and democratic assembly, something else was happening. Something the history books skip. Something that changes everything you thought you knew about the most celebrated civilization in the ancient world. Subscribe if you are not already here. This channel does not make history comfortable. It makes it real. The reconstruction starts now. Come up the hill. The Panathenaic Way, the main processional road leading up to the Acropolis, is not a quiet path for contemplative visitors. It is a wide marble-paved road worn smooth by the feet of hundreds of thousands of people who have walked it for generations. On festival days, it is loud, crowded, and overwhelming. Vendors selling food and offerings line the lower sections. The smell of incense, roasting meat, and unwashed bodies all mixing in the Mediterranean heat. At the top stands the Propylaea, the monumental gateway to the sacred hill. Its columns are painted. Its ceiling is deep blue with gold stars. It is not an entrance. It is a statement. You are about to enter the most important place in the most important city in the world. The Acropolis itself holds four major structures in 447 BC. The Parthenon to the right, the Erechtheion to the left with its porch held up by 6 carved women, the Caryatids, each painted in realistic skin tones and colored robes, weight shifted to one hip like living figures frozen mid-step. The Temple of Athena Nike at the far right edge. The ancient olive tree in the sacred courtyard, believed to be the original tree planted by Athena herself when she won the contest for the city. Every surface painted, every statue living with color, every corner of the sacred hill humming with devotion, commerce, and ceremony simultaneously. Now look at the altar. The great altar of Athena stands just east of the Parthenon. It is permanently stained dark, not from time, from blood. Hundreds of animals are sacrificed here on festival days: oxen, sheep, goats, throats cut over the altar stone, blood running down the marble steps and pooling on the platform below. The priests do not clean between festivals. The most beautiful sacred space in the ancient world smelled permanently of blood, smoke, and burning animal fat. The Athenians considered this the correct way to honor their goddess. The smell was proof the rituals were working. Come down from the hill. The Agora is the beating heart of Athens, and it looks nothing like a heart. It is loud, chaotic, and alive in a way that no modern city centre quite matches. An open limestone ground, roughly the size of 4 football fields, surrounded on 3 sides by long marble colonnaded buildings called stoas, covered walkways where merchants, philosophers, lawyers, and politicians all conduct their business simultaneously in the same 50 feet of shade. In the morning, the market stalls go up. Fish sellers arrive first, fresh catch from Piraeus port, carried up on donkeys before dawn, laid out on stone slabs. Then olive oil merchants with their clay amphorae stacked in rows, bronze smiths, pottery vendors, men selling live animals, men selling cooked food from clay braziers. The smell of salt fish, fresh bread, charcoal smoke, and animal dung layering together in the Athenian morning air. This is also where Athenian democracy physically operates. The law, courts are here. The council building is here. The voting happens here. The same ground where a man buys his morning fish is the same ground where 500 citizens vote on whether to go to war. Athens conducted its entire civic, commercial, and philosophical life in one open space simultaneously. Socrates is here. Not in a school, not behind a desk. Walking between the market stalls in a worn chiton and bare feet. He famously never wore sandals. Stopping citizens mid-transaction to ask them one question. Do you actually know what you think you know? He did this every single day, for decades, free of charge. Now look at what the citizens carried in their hands on their way home from the Agora. The same pottery shard they used to vote with in the morning, scratching the name of whoever they wanted banished from the city for 10 years, was the same object they used in the latrine that evening. Rounded terracotta, enemy's name scratched into the surface, kept beside the latrine hole for personal use. The word democracy gave the world came from the same object as the word they used for toilet scraper. Both things are true, simultaneously. Step off the Agora and into the city itself. Everything changes immediately. The marble and the columns and the painted temples are up on the hill. Down here, Athens is mud brick, limestone dust, and noise. The streets have no grid, no planning, and no names. They grew the way all ancient cities grew, organically over centuries, following the paths of donkeys and the edges of property disputes. Most are too narrow for 2 loaded carts to pass each other. Some are barely wide enough for 2 people walking in opposite directions. There is no street lighting. After dark, Athens is genuinely, completely black. Citizens who needed to move at night carried clay oil lamps or paid slaves to carry torches ahead of them. Wealthy Athenians simply did not go out after dark. The streets at night belong to thieves, drunks, and the desperate. There is no street cleaning either. Waste was disposed of by carrying it to the window and throwing it out. Human waste, food scraps, dead, animals, broken pottery, everything went into the street below. The law technically required you to shout a warning before throwing, but enforcement was non-existent. Walking through an Athenian residential street required constant attention to what was falling from above and what you were stepping in below. The smell of Athens at street level, 300,000 people, no sewage system, Mediterranean heat, decomposing organic waste. was something every ancient writer who visited commented on, not admiringly. Now consider what walked these streets alongside the citizens. Pigs roamed freely through Athenian residential areas, eating the organic waste that accumulated in the street gutters. They were not strays, they were owned. Their owners simply allowed them to clean the streets for free. The pigs of Athens performed the function that the greatest engineering minds of the city never thought to build a system for. The civilization that invented democracy and built the Parthenon dealt with its waste problem by releasing pigs into the streets and hoping for the best. Follow a citizen off the street and through his front door. The interior of an ordinary Athenian home in 447 BC is nothing like the public face of the city. No marble, no columns, no painted friezes. The walls are mud brick covered with white lime plaster, already yellowing at the base from damp. The floor is packed earth. The ceiling is low, roughly 8 feet, supported by wooden beams. A central courtyard open to the sky provides the only reliable natural light. Every room arranged around it. The furniture is minimal. A klein, a low wooden bed frame with leather strapping, in the sleeping room. A wooden table and stools in the main room. Clay amphorae of olive oil, wine and grain stored along the walls. Iron hooks on the wall for hanging clothing. A small household shrine in the corner with a clay figurine of a god and a burnt offering dish beneath it. This is a prosperous home. The poor have less. Now look at the vanity table in the women's quarters. The clay pots lined up on the surface contain the daily beauty routine of an educated, wealthy Athenian woman. The first pot contains white lead carbonate, mixed to a smooth paste. She applies it to her face every morning to achieve the pale aristocratic complexion that marks her as a woman who does not work outdoors. She has done this every day for years. Lead carbonate absorbs directly through skin. It accumulates in bone and tissue. The symptoms arrive slowly: headaches, fatigue, tremors, cognitive decline. Her physician will conclude her constitution is simply delicate. Nobody will connect the white pot on the vanity table to her deterioration. The second pot contains coal for darkening the eyes. Safe enough. The third thing on the table is not a pot at all. It is a small bundle of goat hair and a vessel of tree resin. A single connected eyebrow, an unbroken line from one side of the face to the other, was the peak beauty standard in classical Athens. It signified intelligence and aristocratic refinement. Women who did not naturally have one glued goat hair across their foreheads with tree resin every morning. Every morning. Goat hair, glued above the eyes. And in the corner of the room, on the physician's instructions, a single clove of garlic waits on the shelf. The pregnancy test will be conducted in the morning. The most sophisticated household in the most advanced city on earth. Lead on the face, goat hair on the forehead, garlic for medicine, all before breakfast. Walk east from the residential streets toward the sound of impact and effort. The gymnasium, is one of the most important institutions in Athenian life. Not a luxury, not optional. Physical training is considered a civic duty in Athens. Every free male citizen is expected to maintain his body for military service and public life. The gymnasium is where this happens, every morning, without exception. The first thing you notice entering is the smell of olive oil. Every athlete trains completely naked. This is not considered unusual or provocative. It is the standard, documented, entirely unremarkable practice of Greek athletic culture. Before training, each athlete applies olive oil across his entire body. The oil protects the skin during wrestling. regulates body temperature during running, and makes the muscle definition visible for assessment. Trainers, called paidotribes, walk the floor evaluating form, physique, and effort. The training itself is serious and systematic. Running in the long straight track, wrestling in the sandpit where the goal is to throw the opponent to the ground 3 times, discus and javelin on the open ground outside, boxing with leather hand wraps, no rules about where to strike, fights ending only when one man submits or loses consciousness. Athens produced some of the most celebrated athletes in the ancient world here. Men whose victories at the Olympic and Pythian Games brought the city more prestige than most military campaigns. Now watch what happens when training ends. A slave moves through the gymnasium carrying a curved bronze tool, the strigil. He stops at each athlete and begins scraping. Long, firm strokes along the arms, the back, the legs, collecting the mixture of olive oil, sweat, and gymnasium dust that has accumulated on the skin surface during training. This mixture is called gloios. The strigil deposits it into a small clay vessel. The vessel is sealed, labelled, taken to the Agora, and sold as medicine for joint pain, muscle injuries, and skin conditions. The more victories an athlete had, the higher the price his gloios commanded. Documented in ancient texts, traded commercially, purchased by people who could have afforded anything else available in Athens. The greatest athletes in the city produced 2 things: glory for Athens and a skincare product. Cross the Agora to the western edge. The law courts of Athens are not grand buildings. They are open-air enclosures, large fenced areas on the edge of the Agora where juries of ordinary citizens assemble to hear cases. No professional judges, no legal training required. Any male Athenian citizen over 30 could serve as a juror. Cases were decided by panels of 201, 401, or 501 citizens, depending on the severity of the charge. Always an odd number to prevent tied verdicts. The system was genuinely revolutionary. For the first time in the ancient world, ordinary people, not kings, not priests, not aristocrats, decided the fate of their fellow citizens under law. Defendants spoke for themselves. Prosecutors spoke for themselves. The jury voted immediately after hearing both sides. No deliberation, no discussion. Each juror placed a bronze disc into one of 2 urns, guilty or not guilty, and the majority ruled. Athens exported this idea to every corner of the Mediterranean. It became the foundation of every legal system the Western world subsequently built. Now consider what happened to the man found guilty of adultery before his case ever reached the court. Under documented Athenian law, a husband who caught another man with his wife had a legally recognized right to immediate physical punishment of the offender on the spot. No court required, no witnesses needed. The law explicitly permitted, and ancient sources including Aristophanes document in precise detail the insertion of a large radish into the body of the offending man as a form of legally sanctioned punishment. This was not mob justice. This was written law. The same legal tradition that invented the presumption of innocence, the right to speak in your own defense, and the jury of peers also specified vegetables as legitimate judicial instruments. Rapanadosis, the formal Greek term for this practice, appeared in the same legal texts as the principles that shaped Roman law, Magna Carta, and every democratic constitution written since, the radish and the jury of peers. Both products of the same civilization, both written down in the same tradition. That is Athens. You have walked the full city now, the painted Acropolis, the blood on the altar steps, The Agora, where democracy and toilet shards shared the same ground. The streets where pigs ate the waste the city had no system to remove. The home where leads sat on the vanity table and goat hair waited beside the mirror. The gymnasium where glory was scraped off and sold by the jar. The law courts where the radish and the jury of peers both lived in the same legal tradition. That is Athens in 447 BC. Completely, accurately, entirely reconstructed. Here is what you need to sit with before you leave. Every person living inside this city thought they were the advanced ones. The woman pressing lead into her face every morning was not ignorant. She was educated, sophisticated, and following the best medical and beauty advice her society had to offer. The physician documenting fluid diagnostics was not a fraud. He was applying the most rigorous clinical observation system the ancient world had produced. The citizen scratching his enemy's name onto a toilet shard was exercising a form of personal democratic expression that his civilization had no equivalent word for contempt strong enough to replace. They were not stupid. They were limited. Every human being who has ever lived is limited by the boundary of what their moment in history understood and what it did not. Which brings you to the question that should stay with you. What are we doing right now? Confidently, professionally, with the full endorsement of our best institutions, that people 300 years from now will look back at with the same expression you just had watching this video. We do not know. We cannot know. That is exactly the point. If this changed how you see the world Athens actually was, leave a comment below. Tell me which moment hit hardest. The goat hair, the radish, the pigs in the street, the blood on the Parthenon steps. I read every single one. If you want to see more AI, reconstructions of the ancient world, exactly as it was, not as history books cleaned it up to be, subscribe now. Every week this channel rebuilds somewhere history forgot to tell you the truth about. The next reconstruction goes somewhere older than Greece, somewhere Athens looked to for wisdom, for mathematics, for the very concept of civilization. You are not ready for it.